What is going on, everyone? My name is NoPunIntended, and welcome to coverage of my Week 6 battle for the Minor Pokemon League. If you guys enjoy my Draft League content, then please remember to leave a like or a comment on the video, because that would be nice, and I would appreciate it. Today's game is more crucial for us than a typical Draft League game. It's toward the end of the regular season, for one, and we're in a rather precarious position. At 3-2, we currently reside in 3rd place out of 8 teams, in a league where only the top 3 make playoffs. The problem is, 4 of the 5 teams that could potentially overtake us are 2-3, so if we lose either of our last 2 games, there's a very good chance we blow our shot at playoffs, so we have very little margin for error, especially seeing that we played 2 of those 4 teams as our last 2 opponents. With that backstory out of the way, let's see if we can pull it off against Sparrows, coach of the New England Eeveelutions. Like me, he started off at 0-2, losing to both Sebby and Johnny, who currently are the top 2 teams in the league. I can definitely empathize with that, but at the same time, I don't want him to win this game, because that means I would lose, and that would waste a lot of the effort I put in the previous 3 weeks. And part of that effort, of course, went into the team building, which we'll get to right about now. The biggest pregame observation I made with regard to Sparrow's roster is that his fastest mon is his Blacephalon at base 107. This is crucial for 2 reasons. First, 3 of my mons outspeed his entire team: Zeraora, Noivern, and Keldeo. That makes all 3 of them huge roadblocks for Sparrows that he has to consider when he creates any of his sets. We're going to see him bring at least 1 Scarfer, possibly more if he's especially scared of that trio. Second, a Jolly Mega Swampert outspeeds any of his Pokemon in Rain, even if they're running Choice Scarf. To me, that's a bigger deal. That really resonated with me. As for the moveset, I didn't need much more than dual stabs on my Mega Swampert. Waterfall and Earthquake hit his team pretty hard, and the only mon that resists both is his Shiinotic. But here's the thing. Shiinotic has some bad base stats. Like, really bad. I know this because I used it in the story mode for Sun and Moon. Needless to say, I didn't really like Shiinotic. The only thing it really had going for it was Spore, to put legendaries to sleep so I could catch them more easily. Otherwise, it's let down by its small move pool, a less than stellar defensive typing, and especially those base stats. Give me Vileplume over Shiinotic 100 times out of 100. And trust me, we'll get to Vileplume later. But for now, that's Mega Swampert, a giant beat stick that may have Stealth Rock on its moveset, but probably won't ever need to click it because of how good it is offensively. Scrafty is another mon with a pretty good offensive matchup. Much like how my Mega Swampert takes advantage of the fact that his only grass type is Shiinotic, Scrafty exploits the fact that his only fairy type is Shiinotic. Sparrows doesn't have the best switch-ins to the dark fighting stab combination. His best answer to Scrafty apart from Shiinotic is his Conkeldurr. However, both Shiinotic and Conkeldurr are naturally slower than Scrafty, so if I can get up a Dragon Dance, perhaps a few Moxie boosts, get in a little prior damage on both of them, and I might be able to knock either of them out in a 1v1. Provided that they've taken a few hits beforehand. If Rain is up, I can even bring it in against Blacephalon, and no matter what move it chooses to lock itself into, even without any defensive investment, I still expect Scrafty to take a single +1 hit, and get off a knockoff. Though, to be fair, Politoed can also chew Fire Blast from Blacephalon. Considering I've been talking about how vital Rain is to Mega Swampert and Scrafty's success, it would be asinine for me to not bring Politoed. Plus, if Sparrows brings a ton of Scarfers, as I think he will, Politoed can protect a scout for what moves they want to use. Those are the 3 really important mons in my game plan. The rest just fill in the gaps that those 3 don't cover. Zeraora is here in order to revenge Mega Pinsir easily, as it outspeeds and resists its quick attack. It can also throw off a Gigavolt Havoc to put a dent into something, but Zeraora has to watch out for Electivire, who's immune to electric-type moves and can kill it in 1 hit with an Earthquake. That's why I didn't put Zeraora on the same Pantheon as the first 3, but the rest of my team handles Electivire pretty well. And Vileplume is a great example of that. It's running a defensive set, as usual. Its item is Yache Berry, which can help Vileplume withstand a few distinct Ice-type moves, such as Conkeldurr's Ice Punch, Electivire's Ice Punch, Blastoise's Ice Beam, and more than a few mons Hidden Power Ices. I mention all of these mons because it's feasible for Vileplume to check any of them depending on the matchup. It'll make more sense once I explain my Musharna set. Like Vileplume, it's physically defensive. Its primary purpose is to hard counter Conkeldurr. The original draft of my team had Klefki in order to better handle Mega Pinsir, but after doing a mock battle, I felt Musharna was more appropriate for the matchup. Without Musharna, Guts Conkeldurr runs rampant over my team. Musharna prevents that. Now, if Sparrows doesn't bring the Conkeldurr, I'm gonna switch up my game plan. I like to refer to this game plan as a zone blocking scheme. Should Sparrows bring Conkeldurr and Bisharp, Musharna will be responsible for taking out Conk, and Vileplume will be my answer for Bisharp. But should Sparrows bring Bisharp without Conkeldurr, then Musharna slides over to check Bisharp, with help from its Colbur Berry, and Vileplume is free for me to send in on Electivire, or Blastoise, or Shiinotic, or anything really. No Conkeldurr opens up my game plan immensely. And looking at Sparrow's Week 6 squad, there's no Conkeldurr. There's also no Mega Pinsir, which is even more mind-blowing. No pun intended, because he has a Blacephalon. I'm not sure why he chose to leave both of them on the bench, but thanks, I guess? Instead, he chose to bring 4-point Shiinotic and 2-point Volbeat. And not to say that those Mons aren't threatening in any way, because they could potentially be, but I kind of expected him to bring his prime rib to the dinner table rather than his hot dogs. That expression is so overdone, I'm sorry. Let's just jump into the battle before I embarrass myself again. As I do with most games when I have Politoed, I am going to lead with it here just because when I have Rain up, it gives me a lot more options to play around my opponent's lead. Wasn't expecting him to start out with Volbeat though, and the fact that he does makes me think he has something sneaky planned. Perhaps a Banded U-turn, perhaps Tail Glow into Baton Pass, maybe he just tries to status a lot of my team. But I kind of forgot that the Volbeat is his one and only Z-Mon. And he's going to take a bit of a page out of my playbook by going for the Z Light Screen, which in addition to setting up that screen also gives him +1 special defense. This is a very, very cool idea. I am a big fan of this strategy. Good for you, Sparrows. You get a sticker for that one. Just don't lose it. Anyway, Politoed's not going to be killing his Volbeat anytime soon, so I need to bring in a physical attacker to handle it. And I decided Scrafty is a very good answer to Volbeat because it is Dark type. It's not going to be affected by any Prankster boosted moves. It also has the traits where Blacephalon cannot safely switch into it. So if he Tail Glows, he can't pass it into Blacephalon without having to risk taking a knockoff, which I am going to go for here because I don't want to face off against a +3 Blacephalon. And smartly, Sparrows isn't going to Baton Pass into that Mon immediately. Instead, he's going to go into his Shiinotic, who is able to survive a knockoff, but it does lose its Assault Vest. The thing is, though, any Mon with +3 special attack and +1 special defense is a Mon you need to worry about. Even if it is a Mon like Shiinotic that I bashed on in Team Builder, so I have to play it very safe against it. I go into my Vileplume because I know it resists both Shiinotic stabs, and even if Shiinotic had Spore on a set whose item is Assault Vest, he can't put my Vileplume to sleep because it's a Grass type. So Vileplume is my best bet towards killing the Shiinotic. He is able to get off a little bit of damage with the Moonblast, and he also snags a special attack drop, which is bad because I'm going to go for the Sludge Bomb here, and that's not damage. I'm sorry, that is not damage. That's what happens when he has Light Screen on his side of the field. He has a +1 special defense, and I'm at -1 special attack. But at least the Light Screen's gone now, so Sludge Bomb might actually kill if my eyes don't deceive me, so I go for it again. However, Sparrows anticipates that, makes a good play going into the Bisharp directly, to which Sludge Bomb does absolutely nothing because it's a Steel type. And on the off chance he decides to stay in and Swords Dance, thinking my Vileplume can't touch him, I go for the HP fighting, but he does just knock off. However, he's not going to come away from this exchange unscathed. Vileplume's Effect Spore procs for the second week in a row, and his Bisharp is going to get paralyzed, which is very convenient because I don't have to worry about any sort of speed investment he may have decided to put into Bisharp. Instead, I can just go straight into my Scrafty and threaten him out with a Fighting type move. Now, there's no way I'm going to go for a Fighting type move in this turn because, once again, Bisharp is paralyzed. I don't take much damage from Sucker Punch if he goes for it, and there's really no drawback to me just going for a Dragon Dance here to get my speed up to +1. He could go hard Blacephalon, but I don't foresee it. He could go hard Electivire if he's Scarfed, but I don't see that either. Both of those Mons are a bit frail and they can't take attacks from Scrafty, and he instead goes into the Shiinotic. I'm a +1 attack, and I'm able to throw off an Ice Punch, and yeah, Shiinotic's not going to survive that. I'm telling you, those bad base stats really let Shiinotic down. And thanks to Moxie, I'm at +2 attack, +1 speed. However, Sparrows is going to go into his Electivire, and I'm thinking he might potentially be Choice Scarfed. I count Cross Shot because I know that's a fighting move Electivire gets, and if he's max attack, he can KO me with it. And if he's Scarfed, he'll outspeed me, so I don't want to stand with Scrafty. Instead, I'll pivot into my Musharna, anticipating a Fighting type move, and my hunch is correct, but the fighting move in question is Counter. So what was I really worried about? I guess Scrafty would have died if I had gone for the +2 knockoff. I'm assuming his Electivire has some kind of bulk to survive attacks, but yeah, it's really whatever. I can just stay in Psychic because the one resist that Sparrows has to it on his team is his Bisharp, and my Musharna can handle the Bisharp due to the zone blocking strategy I talked about in the team builder, but I do learn some crucial information about the Bisharp on this turn. For one, my Bisharna outspeeds it, which means that he has very little, if any, speed investment. On top of that, he also survives the hidden power fighting, so he has HP investment instead. And then to add on to the strangeness of his Bisharp set, he does not go for a dark move, instead he clicks Brick Break. Now first off, I'm glad Sparrows has recognized how dangerous of a mon my dual screens Klefki has been the entire season. But what was the prediction for? Was he thinking I'd go into Scrafty again? I'm not sure, I'll have to watch his battle video to find out. To his credit, he does make a better prediction here, going into Blacephalon on my obvious HP fighting. But I can easily take advantage of Blacephalon's flaws whenever it comes out. I swap into my Politoed here to put up the rain, and he does go for the Heat Wave. He misses, but I really doubt that would have done a whole ton of damage to my Politoed, considering the circumstances. And he obviously can't stay in with the Blacephalon, so I'm going to make the most obvious read in the entire world and just go for Toxic, and I will poison the incoming Blastoise. This is a good opportunity for me to scout whether or not he has Rest or Refresh on his set. I have a bit of intuition that he does have Refresh, just because the only way that my Politoed can damage his Blastoise is if I have Toxic. So, knowing this, I'm actually going to make a very aggressive play by switching into my Zero Aura here, predicting him to go for the Refresh, and in that case I am free to either set up a Calm Mind or fire off an Electric attack. However, he just stays in, goes for Toxic. That's really not the most dangerous thing in the world he could have done, so I'm okay with it. I will, however, try to make another aggressive read. Figuring that Electivire is an unmistakably fantastic switch into Zero Aura, I attempt to catch him by doubling into my Mega Swampert, which will get off a big hit if he does bring in the Electivire. Unfortunately, I was incorrect. He just surfs, and my Swampert loses about 40% of its health. Not a catastrophe for me, just a minor setback. I can easily sub Mega Swampert out for Politoed, take only a little bit of damage from Surf, and then just Scald him. Even if he Toxics me with the Blastoise, Politoed has enough bulk to reliably bring out the rain when I need it to, and my main goal is just to wear down that Blastoise, or find out if he's running Rest, which, considering he's holding Leftovers, I don't believe he is. And considering he went straight out into Electivire on my Politoed, I now believe it even less than I did the previous turn. Nonetheless, I am going to fire off a Scald, and I have this picture of Electivire in my head as a very frail Pokemon, so this damage is a bit underwhelming to me, but nothing we can't fix later. Now, my instinct tells me that his Electivire is most likely a choice variant, so I go for Protect, as I don't lose anything by doing so. I'll get some Leftovers recovery, and I can also witness the move he clicks here, which is not an Electric move, but rather an Earthquake. So that is fine. I figured that I could survive any Electric move from a non-choice Electivire, and if he is choiced, well, he just locked himself into Earthquake. And my Politoed, being physically defensive, can withstand repeated Earthquakes. So I feel quite comfortable staying in and going for Rain Dance to boost the power of my Scalds, as well as provide some support from my Mega Swampert. He can bring in his Volbeat, sure, but upon seeing the rain falling down again, he's going to Baton Pass and go back into Blastoise. I do click Scald here to punish the Volbeat if he decides to stay in for whatever reason, but I am also content to weaken the Blastoise instead. Its health now falls below the halfway point, and if he has Refresh or Rest, now is probably the optimal time for him to reveal it, and remove the effects of the Toxic I set. But instead, Sparrows retreats into the Volbeat again, and as a result, sends it directly into the path of an oncoming Scald. It looks like it 2-hit KOs the Volbeat from here, but as you might have expected if you know anything about Volbeat, this bug is not going to go down quietly. It goes for the Roost. However, now that Volbeat has revealed that it has a reliable recovery move, I recognize his entire moveset as Light Screen, Tail Glow, Baton Pass, Roost. He has no direct attacking moves on his Volbeat. I don't have to worry about any of my mons taking direct damage from it. I can instead focus on setting it up to get knocked out. First, I'll Toxic it with my Politoed so he can't continue to Roost stall with any consistency. I can then bring in my Mega Swampert on his Tail Glow, and this puts his Volbeat into a checkmate position. Sparrows can't damage Swampert directly, because he has no move with which he can. He also can't Baton Pass into either of his special attackers, as Blacephalon will faint to a single Waterfall, and Blastoise would from a Waterfall into Toxic damage into an Earthquake. He can't even put up a Light Screen since he just did that 3 turns ago, so he has no other choice but to sack the Volbeat. This means that the threat of Tail Glow Pass is now vanquished, but I do respect the decision to go all status moves on your Volbeat. It's a gutsy call, and it just didn't work out in that situation. Anyway, Sparrows now sends in his Electivire, and to be honest, clicking Earthquake was very tempting for me, but I kind of thought that this was a bait, that he might have been Sugarberry and been able to survive. I also didn't feel comfortable waterfalling him, because he revealed he had counter earlier. I was sort of thinking he might be max HP, max defense, and waterfall doesn't knock him out guaranteed if he is. Since Swampert is still one of my potential win cons, I figure it's not worth the risk to attack directly yet, but I figured it was worth the risk to send in my Zero Aura on an Earthquake. Yeah, don't ask me why I did that, I couldn't tell you either. But at least I have Musharna to take the next hit, or at least I thought I did, because Sparrows makes a bold move here, sending in his Bisharp. Unfortunately, his Audacity isn't going to net him much consolation here. He Sucker Punches my Musharna, but it will eat its Cobra Berry, survive the Dark-type move with half its health to spare, and finish him off with the Hidden Power Fighting. So that worked out very well. We eliminate his Bisharp from the game, and Sparrows has to bring in his Blacephalon, as it's the only Mon of his with enough firepower to take down my Musharna from this range of health. But in going into his Blacephalon, he does give me an out to win the game. First, I'm going to send him my Politoed on the off chance he wants to pick a Fire-type move here, but Shadow Ball was fairly standard play, so I don't blame him for that. Then I'm going to sack off my Zero Aura to the Shadow Ball. Zero Aura really doesn't do a whole lot in this game now, but it's toxic and in red health. The only thing it can really do is weaken the Blastoise, but as long as the Electivire was alive, that wasn't going to be a safe play by any means. However, even though I do give the Blacephalon a Beast Boost, I trust my Scrafty to be able to take a +1 Shadow Ball, assuming that he's Choice Locked, and a Fire move in the rain if he's not Choice Locked. And yeah, he does stay in and just click Shadow Ball. I will be able to tank that very easily. I don't even lose half my health here. I can then go for the knockoff. If he Focus Sash, he can get off another hit on me, but nah, he was Choice Scarfed as I kind of thought he was. And Scrafty's going to get that nice +1 attack. Now, I didn't necessarily think that Scrafty on its own had the game here, but as he sends in the Blastoise, I just kind of wanted to knock off his leftovers, so I just stay in, click the knockoff, and I actually kill him from half health. I thought the Blastoise would be a bit bulkier than that, but I'm definitely not going to complain about it. I counted after the game, and if he was max defense, he actually lived more often than not based on the damage rolls. If he wasn't max physically defensive, and you can just ignore that, and yeah, he would have died to a +1 knockoff anyway. So, I get a second Moxie boost. His final Mon is going to be the Electivire, but it turns out he's running Brick Break as his fighting move on this Mon too. And because it's only 75 base power, Scrafty's going to be able to live, throw off another knockoff, and pick up its 4th kill of the game, sealing the Philadelphia Aegislash's 4-0 win over the New England Eeveelutions. Good game, Sparrows. He did show off a ton of creative sets, it's just kind of a shame that he wasn't really rewarded for his creativity, but I certainly liked it. I also like the fact that we basically eliminated Sparrows from playoff contention, meaning that that's one less team we have to worry about stealing our spot. But talking about playoffs, I'm going to go into a few spoilers for Week 6 in the MinorPL, so if you haven't watched all the games yet and you don't want to be spoiled, this is your warning to click off the video. I certainly don't mind if you do. Now then, looking at the playoffs, we are now at 4-2 plus 8. The other games in the MinorPL for this week have already been decided. The first match that's important to us is that Rewt defeated Aronskii. So now Aronskii is eliminated from playoffs, but because Rewt has such a lower differential than I do, he can't possibly overtake me for that 3rd playoff spot. So in effect, he's also been eliminated. The other big match that happened this week is that Johnny beat Masto, which means that Masto falls to 2-4, and he got eliminated from playoffs too. Because there's no team that can overtake me for that 3rd place position, Philadelphia Aegislash have clinched playoffs in Season 1 of the MinorPL. And if our beloved Commissioner Blue Rogue is to be believed, we've also clinched an automatic promotion to the Major Pokemon League. And I can't believe it honestly happened. After starting 0-2, I didn't think we were going to be successful at all, but we pulled a comeback. That's what happens when you're an underdog. You rise to the occasion, and I guess you pull off 4 straight wins. Okay, not every underdog does that, but we did it, and I'm certainly proud of the effort that I put in and the effort that the team put in. It's more of a metaphorical thing, but we'll count it for now. Anyway, I want to thank you all so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like or a comment on the video if you enjoyed and you're excited about the Aegislash getting promoted to Majors. Subscribe to the channel for more of my Draft League content. Check out Sparrows and the other MinorPL coaches in the description. And until I see you next time, take care.